There's a lake there.
I think it knows where it is going.
This is the
The
lake.
machine
This
knows.
is the lake.
Stop yelling at me.
No, it's up there.
They are literally crumbling after Endgame.
He needs some milk.
Who could have thought the slow and painstaking death of Spider-Man universe without the spider in it will actually come to an end?
Who would have thought? Not me.
Oh wait, there were spiders in it alright, but not the actual spider.
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
The report says Kraven the Hunter is the final film of Spider-Man universe which never saw Spider-Man appear. So Sony had to make a trilogy and 3 standalone films in which one of the film was in its own pocket universe. You understand that these movies are not gonna work without the Spider-Man in it. It is like making a chicken sandwich without the chicken in it. And you may be wondering why Sony keeps on making these Spider-Man movies. Actually, there is a contract between Sony and Marvel which states that Sony has to make Spider-Man film every 5 years to keep the rights of Spider-Man, or the right will be reverted back to Marvel. So that's why we saw an Andrew Garfield reboot after the Tobey Maguire trilogy ended. And this year only we can see the top 10 movies of the year are the sequel to the known IPs. And Spider-Man being the Sony's cash cow, they are gonna milk it till it dies. It is one of the hottest IPs on the planet. So to keep the right away from the Marvel, they opted on making a universe of Spider-Man villains.
That's just dumb.
And we were first introduced to Venom. And let me tell you, Venom is actually one of the Spider-Man iconic villains.
Try!
And hence why the first movie works. And also credit to Tom Hardy who actually made it work. But the sequel was
Try!
and the sequel to that was also not well received by the audience. But I like the third one more than the second one. And now comes Morbius, which was atrociously bad. The internet had a good time though. People made so many memes with Morbin time.
It's Morbin time.
That it actually made Sony think that the people actually liked the movie. Not only Sony did release the movies in the theater again, but it also tanked again.
Incredible.
Sony really does have an Excalibur, but does not know how to use it. And the best of all, Madam Web, who couldn't even convince the audience to come to theater with Sydney Sweeney in latex costume. On the one hand, the lead actress, who is not familiar with the Spider-Man movies itself.
Spider-Man, here he comes.
Here we come. Yes.
That's number 1.
Yep.
Spider-Man, and he's back.
What?
And the other one, the last one is the Goblet of Spider-Man.
Just kill me.
Or even tagging the wrong studios on their Instagram while promoting this movie. And on the other hand, we have Channing Tatum, who longed to be Gambit for a decade and finally showed how well he knows and loves the character.
You know how long I've been waiting for this? Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
And lastly, Kraven, the hunter who is hunting some unknown people and not the Spider-Man. Aaron Tyler Johnson, who I liked as badass.
I'm kick-ass.
And some fruit from Bullet Train, can be any other character from the mercenary killing and hunting people. But if you put Spider-Man who is hunted by the hunter, and now I will call him Kraven because he is known for that in the comics and the video games. And an agent told The Wrap that Sony has developed what they want to develop for now and is instead focusing on next actual Spider-Man film under Marvel Studios. And that's a good thing. Sony will be focusing more on Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4, who is in dire need of some street level villain. And I don't know what is happening with Beyond the Spider-Verse. It was set to release this year of March, but it was pushed back to God knows where. It has been reported that the animators were exhausted and many of them quit after the film. Sony, what did you do this time? Did you treat them as MAPA employees where they can't see their family for weeks?
Just let me go.
I know animating is hard, and it is hard to emulate this type of artistry, which is beyond to comprehend for normal people. But treat the artist right, man. I would love to wait for the masterpiece which is being made rather than getting nothing. Sony has a habit of teasing an idea and scrapping it right away. Like Venom being teased in the Tom Holland Spider-Man, or Vulture meeting Morbius, which is actually bizarre if they are not from the same universe. They could have done so much more with the Spider-Man villains if the writing was not so shitty or lame, like the Warner Brothers have done with the Penguin, with no Batman in it. I am somewhat glad that this universe is dead. Now Sony can work on MCU Spider-Man and introduce his villain in more cohesive universe like in the comics. I don't have my hopes up for the MCU too. They are literally crumbling after Endgame.
He needs some milk.
And Spider-Man No Way Home was the only film that I liked, which actually made some money for the studio itself. Let's see where the universe will take the Spider-Man next, and until then, check out this villain in his last dance from the studio who brought you Madam Web. And I'm gonna meet you there.